everyone, welcome back to our channel. I apologize if my voice becomes a little raspy during this video. Rick and I are just getting over a nasty respiratory virus that's been going around. And Rick came down with the virus first, and then he graciously shared it with me. But before I get into that, I first want to talk to you guys about the movie Contagion, and you will understand why in a few minutes. So, if you've never seen the movie Contagion or you haven't seen it in years, you will want to rewatch it. The movie was released in 2011. Rick had seen it when it first came out, and then I saw it for the first time in 2022. We were scrolling, I think, through Netflix or something, and Rick was just like, "Really? You've never seen this movie?" So we watched it, and I remember watching it with my jaw to the floor because of how similar the movie was to what we all experienced during the 2020 pandemic. There are 7 key parallels between this movie and the 2020 pandemic, which are: number 1, the origin of the virus. In Contagion, the virus starts from an animal and spreads to humans, leading to a global pandemic. Number 2, the global spread. The virus spreads rapidly across the globe, creating a worldwide health crisis. 3, public health response. Contagion shows the efforts of the scientists and the public health officials working to understand the virus and develop treatments and create an arm ticket. Number 4, misinformation and panic. In the movie, there was misinformation about the virus and false cures. Forsythia plays a big role in the storyline because you had this character in the movie that was pushing this as the cure, because Forsythia is used to treat respiratory viruses. And in the movie, they tried to shut it down, disprove and discredit people, and then tried to scare the public into not taking it. Sound familiar? Number 5, quarantine. Both in the movie and during our pandemic, governments imposed lockdowns and quarantine, social distancing, and travel restrictions. 6 was the impact on the economy. In the movie, the global economy was severely impacted, as was ours. And finally, number 7, the arm ticket development. One of the central plot points in Contagion was the race to develop the arm ticket. So I'm not an herbalist. I just study it on my own when I can. And up until I saw that movie, I had never heard of Forsythia, so I didn't know if it was real or made up. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it's real, and it fights respiratory viruses. I always try to treat myself first and let the virus run its course, unless it's bacterial, where you might need medical intervention. So that's when you just kind of use your common sense. So after I saw the movie, researched Forsythia, I bought a bottle of the Forsythia tincture in 2022. And I was like, okay, now I just got to wait to get sick so we can use it. Which apparently took a while because it's 2025. So let's take a look at what Forsythia is first. And as always, you are responsible to do your own research. But in my research, Forsythia is part of the olive family. It's native to Asia and Europe, known for its bright yellow flowers that bloom early in the spring before the leaves appear. And some species of Forsythia are used in traditional medicine, especially in Chinese herbal remedies. Forsythia has anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antiviral properties, and it's often used to treat conditions like the cold and flu. The plant's fruits and flowers may also be used in teas and extracts. This has been used for centuries in herbal medicine. That's why I always kind of shake my head when you see that common phrase that we all see when it comes to herbal meds. There is not enough scientific evidence on the effectiveness, and more research is needed. How can scientific evidence be limited or unknown if they admit that this has been around and used for centuries? Yet they can pull a vaccine out of their butt and slap a scientific evidence of proof that it works and then tell you that you have to trust it. And if you don't take it, you lose your job. Oh, don't get me started. I do agree that when it does come to taking herbal medicine, always consult, a healthcare professional or your herbalist before using it, especially if you are pregnant or nursing, or before giving it to children under 18, because even though it's natural medicine, it can interact with certain pharmaceutical meds that you may be taking, or you might be allergic to it. If you are allergic to other plants in the olive family or have a history of pollen allergies, you might more than likely have a reaction to Forsythia. So here's where our story begins. Rick came down with a nasty head and chest cold, severe cough, sore throat, inflamed sinuses, the whole works. It started on a Friday night and got worse as the days went on. And I'm giving him tea and honey and some cold medicine, and it's not doing anything really for him. And then by Tuesday, I started with the scratchy throat and kind of like the head congestion and the fullness in the ears. And I was like, great, here we go. So I took some of the same cold meds. Then about 2 in the morning, we're both in bed and we're hacking and coughing. Then Rick says jokingly, I think we were hit by the contagion. And then the light bulb went off. I was like, oh my goodness, we have Forsythia, and I completely forgot about it because I bought it 3 years ago and I just didn't think about it. He was like, seriously, you've been making me suffer for the last 4 days? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Now, when you start to feel sick, it's good to start taking the medicine in its early stages of your illness to try and nip it in the bud. Well, Rick is already 4 days in, and I'm only 1 day in. So we both took Forsythia that morning. We mixed it in with our tea. We both felt just super crappy and non-functional. After the first dose, and then a few hours later, I took the next dose. I went from feeling super crappy to about 40 to 50% better. Now, because Rick was already on day 4 when he took it, he felt a little improvement, not much, So he could have already been on like the tail end of his illness. So it was kind of hard to tell if Forsythia was working, for him or not. Then the next day, I took another dose again, and I felt 80% better, maybe even more. And then by day 3, I just had this little residual cough, kind of like I do now, and just a little bit of stuffiness. But during the whole time, I felt good enough to clean and disinfect the house, do laundry, take care of Rick, and not feel worn out. By day 6, Rick was starting to cough up like kind of like yellow, green, and brownish phlegm. And when that starts, it's usually indicative that the infection is settled into your chest and lungs. So like I spoke about earlier, this is when your common sense, excuse me, kicks in. Your home treatment should stop and you should go to the doctor or urgent care and see if an antibiotic is needed, because now it went from being viral to a bacterial infection. The doctor did give Rick an antibiotic, so I stopped giving him the Forsythia because I wasn't sure if that was going to interfere with the antibiotic. And after the first couple of doses, If Rick had to spit out any mucus, phlegm, or anything, it was coming out clear, and he started having a lot of improvement. I definitely didn't have it as bad as Rick because I took the Forsythia within my first day of symptoms. And that first day was really my worst day. And after a few doses, it felt like it just kind of kept my symptoms at bay. I still had like the cough and some slight, head congestion. I did take a few days off of work just to rest and not infect my coworkers, just in case if I was still contagious. So is Forsythia the cure-all? No, but it certainly helped a lot. It definitely worked better than the cold meds did. And even though I felt bad for Rick that he got it worse than me, I am glad it worked out the way it did because there was a stark difference in how effective Forsythia was when it's taken at the first signs of sickness versus, 4 days into it. Rick ended up with an infection and needed antibiotics, whereas I didn't. Will this be the case for everyone? I don't know. I'm just telling you our experience with it and what it did for us. But it's definitely going to be our go-to medicine for respiratory viruses. And I'm sure I will not forget that we have this for next time. We got our Forsythia through Amazon from a company called Hawaii Pharm, located in Hawaii. They are a reputable company and have excellent reviews on their products. And if you go to their website directly, you will find that they have an enormous selection of tinctures and their prices are very reasonable. I'll drop the link in the description section below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informational. Always do your own research and consult with your doctor and herbalist. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.